My name is Isabella Torres, and I'm 34 years old. 2 years ago, I made a decision that would either destroy my family or save my sanity, and it all started with a credit card being declined at Whole Foods while my mother screamed at the cashier that I was an ungrateful daughter who forgot her duty. But that public humiliation wasn't the worst part. The worst part was discovering she'd been telling everyone I owed them my success, my salary, my entire future, simply because I was single and childless. What happened next involved a financial power of attorney, 15 family witnesses, and a truth that changed everything. Before I share how one overheard phone call led to the complete restructuring of my family's financial expectations, please take a moment to like and subscribe. I'd love to know where you're watching from and what time it is there. Drop it in the comments below. Now let me take you back to the moment everything changed. It started 2 years ago when my father, Robert Torres, suffered a massive stroke that left him partially paralyzed. Dad's stroke happened on a Tuesday morning. One minute he was drinking his coffee, the next he was on the kitchen floor while Mom screamed for help. The ambulance ride, the ICU, the surgeries, it all blurred together in those first terrible weeks. But when the dust settled and the doctors laid out the long-term care plan, one thing became crystal clear. This was going to cost everything we had and then some. The numbers were staggering. Physical therapy 3 times a week at $200 per session. Speech therapy twice weekly, another $300. Medications that insurance barely touched, $1,800 monthly. Home modifications for wheelchair access, a hospital bed, a special bathroom, $35,000 up front. And that was before the home health aide Mom insisted Dad needed, despite being perfectly capable of helping him herself. I'll never forget that family meeting at the hospital. Mom sat there crying while my younger brother Marcus checked his phone every 30 seconds. When the social worker finished explaining the costs, everyone turned to look at me. Not Marcus, who worked at a tech startup and had just bought a brand new BMW M3, me, the single daughter with the big corporate job, the Isabella handles money for a living, Mom announced to the room, as if being a financial manager meant I had unlimited funds. She'll figure this out. And I did. Without anyone asking, without a family discussion about sharing the burden, I simply started paying. Dad's medications went on my credit card. The therapy bills came to my address. When Mom called saying the mortgage was late because all their savings went to Dad's care, I covered that too. Marcus? He posted Instagram photos of his new car, his weekend trips to Vegas, his designer sneakers. When I mentioned maybe he could help with Dad's prescriptions just once, he laughed. Come on, Bella. You make 3 times what I do. Besides, you don't have kids to support. The truth I didn't tell him? After 2 years of this, I'd drained $240,000 from my savings, my 401k, and a personal loan I'd taken out. The promotion I'd worked toward for 5 years, the one that came with that bigger salary? Every penny went to my family, but they didn't see sacrifice. They saw duty. The signs were everywhere, but I was too deep in the fog of caregiving to see them clearly at first. It started small. Mom would introduce me at family gatherings with a specific script. This is Isabella, our blessing. She takes care of everything so naturally, being single and all. No husband or babies to worry about, so we're her priority. I remember Thanksgiving dinner 6 months after Dad's stroke. While I was calculating whether I could afford both his December medications and the property tax bill, Aunt Carol gushed about how lucky my parents were. Isabella is so devoted, she said, carving the turkey I'd paid for. It must be such a relief that she doesn't have her own family obligations. Mom nodded enthusiastically. Exactly. That's what I tell everyone. She's free to help us. It's really the natural order of things. The unmarried daughter takes care of the parents. Marcus sat there feeding his girlfriend bites of stuffing, contributing nothing to the conversation except, yeah, Bella's got it covered. She's like, super rich anyway. This from the man who'd just posted about his $400 dinner at Nobu the night before. The extended family ate this narrative up. Cousin Maria pulled me aside later, patting my hand sympathetically. It's so good you're accepting your role. Some daughters fight it, can you imagine? But you understand, this is what single women do for their families. My role? As if being unmarried at 34 automatically assigned me the position of family ATM and caregiver while everyone else lived their lives. The worst part was how public Mom made it. Her Facebook posts praised my dedication, while subtly implying I had nothing better to do with my money or time. Blessed that Isabella can focus entirely on us, she'd write, alongside photos of Dad's medical equipment that I'd purchased. The tipping point came when I overheard Mom on the phone with her sister. "Oh, Patricia," Aunt Linda was saying on speaker, "you're so fortunate Isabella hasn't gotten married. Who would take care of you and Robert?" Mom's response hit like ice water. "I know. I thank God every day she's still single. It's really her purpose, you know. What else would she do with all that money anyway?" My purpose. My money. As if I existed solely to fund their lives while mine disappeared, one bill at a time. The math was brutal and simple. At the rate I was hemorrhaging money, I'd be broke within 18 months. My financial advisor, Diane, had laid it out in stark terms during our quarterly review. "Isabella, you've liquidated 60% of your retirement. Your emergency fund is gone. You're one crisis away from bankruptcy." I stared at the numbers on her screen, each line item a dream deferred. The house down payment I'd saved for 8 years. Gone. The MBA program I'd planned to start. Impossible now. The fertility preservation procedure I'd scheduled for my 35th birthday. Canceled, because $15,000 was 3 months of Dad's care. "Your family doesn't know, do they?" Diane asked gently. "They think you have unlimited resources." She was right. They had no idea I'd maxed out 2 credit cards, that I was eating ramen for dinner while they assumed I was dining at upscale restaurants. Mom still called me for little extras: Dad's favorite imported chocolates, a new recliner for his comfort, premium cable so he wouldn't be bored. "You can write it off on your taxes," she'd say, as if that made spending money I didn't have somehow free. My relationship with James ended 2 months later. We'd been together for 3 years, talking about marriage, children, a future. But when I had to cancel our vacation for the 3rd time, that money went to Dad's new wheelchair. He finally broke. "I can't compete with your family, Isabella," he said, packing his things from my apartment. "You're destroying yourself for people who don't even say thank you. You're choosing them over us, over your own future." "They're my family," I protested weakly. "And what am I?" He paused at the door. "You know what your mom told me at Easter? That she was glad we weren't married yet because it meant you could focus on them completely. She actually said she hopes you stay single." The apartment felt hollow after he left. I sat there calculating how much I'd save on couples' dinners, weekend trips, the engagement ring I knew he'd been planning to buy. Every dollar saved was another dollar for Dad's care, Mom's requests, Marcus's conviction that his sister had it all covered. My therapist would later call it financial abuse, but that night, I just called it family. If you've ever felt trapped between loving your family and protecting your financial future, drop a comment below. I read every single one, and your stories help others realize they're not alone. Also, what would you do if you overheard your own mother saying you owe her your success? Let me know before I reveal the conversation that changed everything. And if this story resonates with you, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me reach more people who need to hear that setting boundaries isn't selfish. Now let me tell you about the phone call that started the avalanche. The call came while I was reviewing my credit card statement, trying to figure out how Mom had spent $3,000 at Nordstrom on my supplementary card. Her name lit up my phone screen. "Isabella, I need you to increase my credit limit." "Mom, we talked about this. The card is for Dad's medical expenses and groceries." "Don't be ridiculous. I needed some things." $3,000 of things?" Her voice sharpened. "Why are you questioning me? You're single. What else do you need money for?" "Mom, I have bills. I have a life." "What life?" You work and come home to an empty apartment? I gripped the phone tighter. That's not the point. Marcus needs help with his wedding fund. Marcus isn't even engaged. He will be soon, unlike you. The cruelty of it stung, but I pushed forward. Mom, I can't increase the limit. I'm already stretched thin. Stretched thin? She laughed. You make 6 figures, which all goes to Dad's care and your expenses. Our expenses? These are family expenses, Isabella. Your duty. My duty? Yes, your duty. What kind of daughter questions taking care of her parents? The kind who's going broke doing it alone while her brother buys luxury cars. Don't bring Marcus into this. He has his own life to build. And I don't? You made your choices. Career over family. Now the least you can do is support us. My hands shook. I need to decrease the limit, not increase it. Don't you dare. I'll call your boss if I have to. My boss? What does she have to do with this? I'll explain how you're neglecting your sick father, how you have all this money but won't help your family. Let's see how that looks for a financial manager. Mom, that's Christina at church. Her daughter gives her full access to everything. No questions asked. I'm not Christina's daughter. No, you're worse. You're selfish. I've given you everything. Not everything. You still have that apartment, your car, your fancy job clothes. You want me to be homeless? I want you to remember who raised you, who sacrificed for you. And I'm grateful, but no buts. Increase the limit, or I'm driving to your office tomorrow. She hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, then at the credit card statement. Between the Nordstrom charges were others. Restaurant bills, spa treatments, charges from Marcus's favorite electronics store. All while I'd eaten peanut butter sandwiches for lunch that entire month. That night, I did something I'd never done before. I called Elena Vasquez, my old college friend who'd become a family financial attorney. I need help, I said when she answered. I think I need legal protection from my own family. Her response was immediate. Come to my office tomorrow. Bring every financial document from the last 2 years. We're going to fix this properly. Elena's office felt like a sanctuary, all clean lines and legal books, a world where contracts meant something and boundaries could be enforced. She'd already reviewed my preliminary documents when I arrived for our follow-up meeting 6 months ago. Though I hadn't acted on her advice then, I wasn't ready. The situation has gotten worse, hasn't it? She asked, noting my exhausted appearance. I nodded, sliding her my latest bank statements. She whistled low. Isabella, you've depleted another 40,000 since we last spoke. Dad needed a new treatment. Insurance denied it. And your brother? Your mother? Marcus just bought an investment property. Mom says it's for their future security. Elena pulled out a document I remembered from our first meeting. The conditional financial power of attorney we discussed. Are you ready to implement it now? The document was elegant in its simplicity. It would give me legal control over a trust fund my father had set up years ago. One my family didn't even know I had access to as the designated successor trustee. But more importantly, it included specific provisions about financial support with clear limits and conditions. Your father signed this when he was still competent, Elena explained. He wanted to protect you from exactly this situation. He knew your mother's spending habits. He knew Marcus's tendencies. Dad knew? He called me himself before the stroke, said he was worried about what would happen to you if something happened to him. This document ensures his medical care while protecting you from unlimited financial exploitation. But they don't know this exists. Which is why it's perfect. You can activate it anytime. When you do, you control the narrative and the money. What about the recordings? I asked, pulling out my phone. I've been documenting everything like you suggested. Smart. Every call with your mother? Every single one. Legal in our state, one-party consent. Elena smiled. You're building a solid case for financial abuse. But Isabella, this isn't about punishing them. It's about protecting yourself while still caring for your father. They'll hate me. They'll respect you, eventually, or they won't, but you'll be financially stable either way. I picked up the document, feeling its weight. When should I activate it? When you're ready to stop being their victim and start being their equal. Document everything until then. Every receipt, every demand, every guilt trip. When the moment comes, you'll know. I left her office with the papers tucked in my bag, a secret weapon waiting for the right moment. I didn't know then that moment would come just 2 weeks later. Sunday visits to Dad were my sacred time. I'd bring his favorite magazines, sit by his bed, and we'd spend quiet hours together, while Mom usually went shopping with her sister. That particular Sunday, I arrived early, hoping to catch Dad during his alert morning hours. The house was quiet as I let myself in with my key. Dad was in the living room, dozing in his wheelchair by the window. I was about to announce myself when I heard Mom's voice from the kitchen, sharp and clear on speakerphone. "Patricia, you won't believe what Isabella did now," Mom was saying to Aunt Carol. "She questioned the credit card charges. Can you imagine?" "Well, 3,000 is a lot, Linda," Aunt Carol replied. "It's nothing to her. She makes over 200,000 a year." My stomach dropped. I made $130,000, good money, but nowhere near what Mom believed. "Still, that's her money," Aunt Carol said carefully. Mom's laugh was bitter. "Her money? Carol, please. What's hers is ours. That's how family works." "But she's not married. Doesn't she need savings?" "For what? Another empty apartment? More business suits? She has no husband, no children. We are her responsibility." "Linda, that seems— It's her duty, Carol. I gave up my career to raise her. Robert worked himself sick providing for this family. Now it's her turn." "But what about Marcus?" "Marcus has a future to build, a girlfriend to impress. He'll have children someday." "And Isabella won't?" "Look at her. 34, married to her job, no prospects. She owes us everything for raising her. What else is her money for if not taking care of us?" "That's a bit harsh." "It's reality. She owes us. Every penny she makes should come home. I'm her mother. I shouldn't have to beg for credit card increases." "What does Robert think?" "Robert's too sick to think. Besides, he always babied her, made her think she was special with all that education nonsense. Well, look where it got her. Alone and obligated." "Linda, I don't think— She'll never have her own family, Carol. We're all she's got. The least she can do is pay for it. God knows we've earned it after 34 years of raising her." My hands shook as I pulled out my phone, hitting record just as Mom continued. "I'm thinking of telling her she needs to sell that apartment, move back home, then all her money can go to the family where it belongs." "Linda, It's practical. Why should she live alone when we need her here? Her money, her time, it all belongs to us. She owes us that much." I recorded for 3 more minutes as Mom detailed her plans for my money, my future, my life. Then I quietly backed out of the house, got in my car, and called Elena. "I'm ready," I said when she answered. "Activate everything, now." Elena worked fast. Within 2 hours, I was in her office signing documents while she coordinated with the bank and credit card companies. My hands were steady now, no longer shaking. The recording of Mom's conversation played on repeat in my mind. She owes us everything. "First, we're canceling all supplementary cards effective midnight tonight," Elena explained, typing rapidly. "The credit card company is noting this as fraud prevention due to excessive unauthorized charges." "They'll still have the cards until tomorrow?" "Yes, but they'll be declined when they try to use them. Now let's discuss the trust fund." The fund Dad had set up contained $500,000, his life insurance payout from a policy he'd purchased decades ago, plus accumulated interest. As successor trustee, I had full control upon his incapacitation, but I'd never touched it, thinking it was for his care. Elena showed me the provisions. "Look here. Medical care and necessary living expenses only. Your mother's shopping sprees don't qualify. Neither does Marcus's lifestyle. So I can legally— You can legally restructure everything. Direct payments to medical providers only. A modest monthly allowance for your mother's actual needs, nothing more. We set it up meticulously. Dad's medical bills would be paid directly from the trust. Mom would receive $2,000 monthly for groceries and household expenses. Generous but controlled. Marcus would receive nothing. What about the house? I asked. The mortgage is in your parents' names. You can choose to pay it or not. I'll give them 6 months to figure it out. That's fair. Elena nodded, making notes. You're being more generous than required. Now let's discuss the family meeting. They'll call one as soon as the cards are declined. Exactly. That's when you present everything. I'll be there as your legal counsel. They'll say I ambushed them. No, they ambushed you, for 2 years. This is just you standing up. We prepared a folder with everything. 2 years of receipts totaling $240,000. The trust documents, the conditional POA, transcripts of recorded conversations were legal, and a new family financial agreement. One more thing, Elena said, pulling out her phone. My colleague is a notary. She can be available whenever you need her. Having a witness will make everything ironclad. That night, I went home and looked around my empty apartment. Empty because I'd sold furniture to pay for Dad's therapy. Empty because James had left. Empty because my life had been hollowed out by family obligations. I sent Elena one final text. Thank you for helping me reclaim my life. Her response was immediate. You're reclaiming it yourself. I'm just providing the legal framework. Tomorrow, Mom's card would be declined, and everything would change. The call came at 10:47 a.m. Monday morning. I was in a meeting with my team when my phone lit up, Mom calling repeatedly. I let it go to voicemail 5 times before excusing myself. Her sixth call, I answered. Isabella Torres speaking. What did you do? Mom's shriek was so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. Can you be more specific? My card was declined at Whole Foods in front of everyone. I see. Was it for groceries? Don't play games with me. The manager had to void the entire transaction. Mrs. Patterson from church was right behind me. The humiliation. What were you buying, Mom? That's not the point. Fix this immediately. I've restructured our financial arrangement. You'll receive a monthly allowance for household necessities. Allowance? Allowance? I'm your mother. Yes, and Dad is my father. His medical care remains fully covered. The girl at the register looked at me with pity, Isabella. Pity! In the background, I heard Marcus's voice. Is that her? Give me the phone. Shuffling sounds. Then Marcus. Bella, what the hell? Mom just called me crying from the parking lot. Then perhaps you should comfort her. You canceled her cards? Are you insane? I restructured the family finances. You can't just… Actually, I can. Legally. This is financial abuse. I almost laughed. Interesting perspective. I have documentation showing the opposite. What documentation? Every receipt for 2 years, every demand, every guilt trip. You've been planning this? I've been protecting myself. From your own family? From financial exploitation. We're coming over there. I'm at work. Then we're having a family meeting, tonight, 7 o'clock. I'll need to check my schedule. Bella! His voice cracked. You can't do this to Mom, to us. I'm not doing anything to you. I'm simply establishing boundaries. Boundaries? We're family! Yes, and families respect each other's boundaries. Mom's crying, Bella. Actually crying. I'm aware. You don't even care? I cared for 2 years while going broke. Where was your concern then? That's different. You offered to help. No, Marcus, I was told it was my duty. Because it is. According to whom? According to… Just fix this, Bella. Now. The new arrangement is already in place. Mom will receive monthly support for necessities. How much? Sufficient for groceries and household expenses. That's not an answer. It's all the answer you're getting. This isn't over. You're right. 7 o'clock? Mom's house. I'll be there, with my attorney. Your what? I hung up. 15 text messages immediately flooded my phone. I silenced it and returned to my meeting, where my team was pretending not to have heard my side of the conversation through the glass walls. Family emergency? My assistant asked quietly. Family restructuring, I replied, pulling up my presentation. Now, where were we on the quarterly projections? The family meeting is about to happen, and I need you to understand. This isn't about revenge, it's about respect. If you believe that helping families shouldn't mean sacrificing your entire future, hit that subscribe button right now. And remember, sometimes the most loving thing you can do is set firm boundaries. Have you ever had to stand up to family members who felt entitled to your success? Share your story in the comments. It helps others know they're not alone in these struggles. Now, let me show you what happened when 15 relatives gathered to talk sense into me. I spent the afternoon preparing like I would for a board presentation. Every document copied 3 times, organized in a black leather folder. 2 years of receipts categorized by type: medical, household, personal shopping, Marcus's expenses. The total at the bottom of each page highlighted in yellow. Elena arrived at my apartment at 5:30. You ready for this? I've been ready for months. They'll try emotional manipulation first, then anger, then bargaining. I know their playbook. Your mother called my office 3 times today. My assistant said she was crying. She cries when she doesn't get her way. It's effective. Elena pulled out a tablet. I've prepared a presentation. Visual aids help when emotions run high. The slides were damning. Pie charts showing where my money went: 30% to unnecessary shopping, 40% to medical care, 20% to Marcus's expenses, 10% to household bills. Line graphs showing my depleted savings against mom's increased spending. This might be too much, I said. Facts aren't a tax, Isabella. They're just facts. I chose my outfit carefully. My best navy suit, the one I wore for major negotiations. Professional, serious, expensive enough to remind them I'd earned my position. Elena had suggested it. Dress like the CFO you are, not the daughter they expect. We drove separately to Mom's house. I wanted my own exit strategy. As we pulled up, I counted cars: Aunt Carol's sedan, Uncle David's truck, 3 cousins' vehicles. Mom had called in reinforcements. More witnesses for us, Elena said, meeting me at the sidewalk. The more people who hear this, the harder it is for them to revise history later. Through the window, I could see them gathered in the living room. Mom in her favorite chair like a queen holding court, Marcus pacing, relatives perched on various furniture. Dad was there too, in his wheelchair by the fireplace, more alert than usual. One thing, Elena said, hand on my arm. Your father. He might support you. Dad can barely speak since the stroke. But he can nod. He can make his position known. Don't forget, he set up that trust for a reason. I took a breath, straightened my shoulders, and knocked on my childhood home's door. The talking inside stopped immediately. Marcus yanked it open. You brought a lawyer? Really? Hello, Marcus. May we come in? He stepped aside, his face flushed. This is so unnecessary. That's exactly what I've been thinking, I replied, walking past him. For 2 years. The living room fell silent as Elena and I entered. 15 pairs of eyes tracked our movement as we took the 2 empty chairs clearly meant to isolate us, in the center facing everyone like defendants at trial. Mom spoke first, her voice trembling with practiced hurt. Isabella, how could you humiliate me like that, in public? Hello, Mom. Hello, everyone. I nodded to each relative. Thank you for coming. Don't act like this is a business meeting, Marcus snapped. You ambushed our mother. Let's start with facts, I said, opening my folder. Dad got sick 2 years ago. Since then, I've paid. We don't need your receipts, Mom interrupted. We need an explanation for your cruelty. Aunt Carol leaned forward. Linda called me crying, Isabella. The card was declined for groceries, basic groceries. Was the champagne basic? I asked calmly. The imported cheese? The $300 worth of items? How do you know what she was buying? Uncle David asked. Because I receive itemized statements for every purchase. You've been spying on her? Marcus's girlfriend Jennifer gasped. I've been monitoring my own credit card. That you gave to Mom, Marcus shouted, for Dad's medical expenses and household necessities. She needed things, Cousin Maria chimed in. You have so much money, Isabella. Why are you being stingy? I pulled out a paper. Let me share some numbers. In 2 years, I've spent $240,000 on family expenses. Nobody asked you to keep track, Mom said. The IRS requires it. Now, of that amount, $96,000 went to Dad's medical care. The remaining $144,000. This is so petty, Marcus interrupted, counting every penny. The remaining $144,000 went to non-medical expenses, including $31,000 in charges from Marcus's credit card linked to my account. Jennifer turned to Marcus. You said you were paying for everything yourself. Let's not get distracted, Mom said quickly. Isabella, you're the successful one. It's your duty. My duty? I pulled out my phone. Let me share something about duty. Elena touched my arm, a warning, but I was past warnings. 2 weeks ago, I overheard Mom on a call with Aunt Carol. I looked directly at my aunt. Mom said, and I quote, "She owes us everything. What else is her money for if not taking care of us? She'll never have her own family. We're all she's got." Aunt Carol's face went pale. Linda, you didn't... I was upset, Mom protested. You're twisting my words. I have the recording. The room exploded. Marcus jumped up. You recorded our mother? Legal in this state, Elena said calmly. Uncle David raised his hand for quiet. Isabella, what exactly are you trying to accomplish here? Dad made a sound from his wheelchair, the first noise he'd made. Everyone turned to look at him. His eyes were locked on mine, and slowly, deliberately, he nodded. I'm establishing boundaries, I said. Dad's medical care continues, fully funded. Mom receives $2,000 monthly for household expenses. The house payment, you have 6 months to figure that out. 6 months? Mom shrieked. You're making us homeless? You have options. Marcus could contribute. You could get a job. You could downsize. This is insane, Cousin Tommy said. Family doesn't do this to family. Family doesn't drain family dry either, I responded. Yet here we are. Elena stood up, commanding the room's attention with her presence. Before this continues, there are some legal matters everyone needs to understand. Who are you to come into our family home? Mom started. I'm Ms. Torres's attorney, and I'm here to present documentation that will clarify the situation. She pulled out a document, holding it up. This is a conditional financial power of attorney executed by Robert Torres 3 years ago, before his stroke. Mom's face went white. That's impossible. Robert would never... Mrs. Torres, your husband specifically appointed Isabella as successor trustee of his personal trust, with full control upon his incapacitation. What trust? Marcus demanded. Elena opened her tablet, projecting onto the TV screen I hadn't noticed she'd connected to. The Robert Torres Revocable Trust, containing approximately $500,000 in assets. Gasps rippled through the room. Mom stood up, shaking. That's our money! Actually, Elena continued, it's specifically designated for Mr. Torres's medical care and necessary family expenses to be distributed at the trustee's discretion. Isabella has been fulfilling this role without touching these funds, using her personal money instead. So there's $500,000 sitting there? Marcus's eyes lit up. Perfect. We can... You can nothing, Elena interrupted. Isabella controls these funds entirely, legally, irrevocably. I stood up, facing my family. I've been paying everything from my personal accounts while Dad's trust sat untouched. Do you understand what that means? Uncle David spoke slowly. You chose to go broke, rather than use money specifically set aside for this. Because I thought family would step up, that it would be temporary, that someone, anyone, would offer to help. But now, Aunt Carol asked, now I'm using Dad's trust as he intended. Medical expenses paid directly to providers. Basic living expenses covered modestly. Nothing more. Elena clicked to the next slide. Furthermore, Ms. Torres has documented every expense over 2 years. If anyone wishes to challenge this arrangement, we have extensive evidence of financial exploitation. Exploitation? Mom shrieked. Of my own daughter? $31,000 in unauthorized charges from Marcus. $47,000 in luxury purchases by you, Mrs. Torres, while Isabella ate ramen and lost her relationship due to financial stress. Jennifer stood up. Marcus, you told me Isabella was wealthy and happy to help. She is wealthy, Marcus protested. Was, I corrected, until I spent everything supporting a family that told everyone I owed them my success. Dad made another sound, stronger this time. His hand moved slightly, pointing at Elena. Elena understood. Mr. Torres, would you like me to read your letter? Everyone froze. Dad nodded firmly. Elena pulled out another document. Robert Torres wrote this when he established the trust. Quote, I fear my family will take advantage of Isabella's generous nature and success. She has always been the responsible one, the one who sacrifices. This trust exists to protect her from unlimited financial obligation while ensuring my medical care. My wife Linda and son Marcus must learn to be self-sufficient. Isabella is not their bank account. She is my daughter, and she deserves her own life. Mom collapsed back into her chair. Robert, how could you? Dad's eyes were clear, focused on Mom. His mouth worked hard to form words. Tech, Bella. The room was stunned silent. Dad hadn't spoken that clearly in months. Elena clicked to a final slide. Going forward, this is the financial structure, non-negotiable, legal, binding. The slide showed everything clearly. Medical care, fully covered from trust, Mom's allowance, $2,000 month, house payment, 6 months transition period. Marcus, 0. All other expenses, not covered. This is effective immediately, I said. The credit cards are canceled, the bank accounts are separated, the trust is under my sole control. You can't, Mom started. It's already done, Elena said. Completed this morning, all perfectly legal. The eruption was immediate and violent. You planned this, Mom screamed, standing up so fast her chair tipped. You've been plotting against your own family. I've been protecting myself, I replied calmly. Marcus stepped toward me aggressively. You recorded us? Spied on us? What kind of person? The kind who spent $240,000 while you bought a BMW and investment property. That's different. I'm building a future. With whose money, Marcus? Jennifer asked quietly. Because you told me you were saving for our wedding. Jen, not now. You said Isabella was rich and happy to help. You said she offered. Jennifer's voice rose. You never said she was going broke paying for everything. She's not broke. Look at her suit. This suit is 3 years old, I said. I haven't bought new clothes in 2 years. Every penny went to this family. Aunt Carol stood up. Linda, is it true what Isabella said? About the phone call? Mom's face flushed. I was venting, Mother's vent. You said she owed you everything. I pulled out my phone. Would you like me to play it? That's illegal, Marcus shouted. One-party consent state, Elena reminded him. Completely legal. Uncle David raised his hand. Everyone calm down. Isabella, what exactly do you want? I want acknowledgement that I'm a daughter, not a bank account. I want recognition that I've sacrificed everything while being told it's my duty. I want boundaries. You want to abandon us, Mom accused. Dad's medical care continues fully. You get $2,000 a month. That's not abandonment. It's control. It's what I can afford while rebuilding my life. Cousin Maria spoke up. Isabella, don't you think you're being harsh? Family helps family. Where was that philosophy when I was drowning? When did any of you offer to help? Silence. That's what I thought. Tommy shifted uncomfortably. We assumed you had it handled. You never asked. I shouldn't have to beg family for help while hemorrhaging money. But cutting them off, I'm not cutting anyone off. I'm setting sustainable boundaries. Mom turned to the relatives, tears streaming. She's punishing me for being a mother, for expecting basic respect and support. Basic respect? I laughed bitterly. You told Aunt Carol I'd never have my own family, that I was nothing but a wallet. I didn't mean, you meant every word, just like when you told James you hoped I'd stay single so I could focus on you completely. Gasps from several cousins. Jennifer grabbed her purse. Marcus, I need to think about this. About us. Jen, wait. She turned at the door. Your sister went broke supporting your family while you bought toys and lied to me. What else have you lied about? She left. Marcus rounded on me. You're destroying everything. No, Marcus. I'm revealing everything. There's a difference. Dad made another sound. Everyone turned. With enormous effort, he spoke. Bella, right. Sorry. Dad, no. I went to him, kneeling by his wheelchair. You have nothing to apologize for. His eyes were wet. Should have protected you sooner. Mom stood frozen. Robert, you're taking her side? Dad's gaze shifted to Mom, suddenly sharp. Always her side. Linda, always. The room went silent except for Mom's sobbing. But for the first time in 2 years, they weren't tears of manipulation. They were tears of realization. Elena stepped forward with a final document. This is the new family financial agreement. It's not negotiable, but it is generous given the circumstances. She read aloud. Medical expenses for Robert Torres. Fully covered from trust funds, paid directly to providers. Monthly household allowance for Linda Torres, $2,000, deposited on the first of each month. Mortgage assistance, 6 months at current payment rate. Then Mrs. Torres must refinance, sell, or find alternative funding. Marcus Torres, no financial support. Additional family members, no financial obligations. This is abandonment, Mom whispered. This is boundaries, I corrected, and it's more than legally required. Uncle David studied the document. Linda, this is actually quite generous. Isabella could walk away entirely. She's my daughter. And she's been bankrolling your life for 2 years, he replied, while you told everyone she owed it to you. Cousin Linda spoke up. Patricia, Marcus works in tech. He makes good money. Why hasn't he been helping? All eyes turned to Marcus, who shifted uncomfortably. I have student loans. You paid those off 3 years ago, I said quietly. You told me at Dad's birthday party. I have other expenses, like the Vegas trips, the BMW, the investment property you bought last month. That's for my future. And Isabella's future doesn't matter? Aunt Carol asked. Marcus had no answer. Elena pulled out one more document. There's also this. A fund specifically for Mr. Torres's care, separate from the trust. Anyone who wishes to contribute is welcome. Isabella will match contributions up to $1,000 per month. Match contributions? Uncle David asked. If family members contribute to Dad's care, I'll match it from my personal funds, but only for Dad's medical expenses. That's fair, Cousin Linda said. More than fair. I'll contribute, Uncle David announced. $500 a month. David, Mom gasped. What? Robert's my brother. If Isabella can sacrifice, so can we. I'll do $200, Cousin Linda added. One by one, 3 relatives pledged contributions. Marcus stood silent. Marcus? Jennifer had returned, standing in the doorway. What about you? I need to think about it. You need to think about helping your sick father? She shook her head. I've thought enough. We're done, Marcus. She left again, this time for good. Mom looked around the room, seeing the shifting dynamics. You're all abandoning me for her? No, Linda, Aunt Carol said gently. We're acknowledging that Isabella has been carrying an unfair burden. It's time for that to change. I stood up, gathering my documents. The new arrangement starts immediately. Mom, your first allowance will be deposited Thursday. The mortgage will be paid for 6 more months. Dad's care continues uninterrupted. And if I refuse? Then you refuse. But the old arrangement is over either way. Elena packed up her tablet. My office has copies of everything. If anyone has questions, they can contact me. We walked to the door. Behind us, the room erupted in discussion, but I didn't look back. Dad's voice, stronger than it had been in months, cut through the noise. Thank you, Bella. That was all I needed to hear. The first 3 days were silent. Mom didn't call, didn't text, didn't post on Facebook. Marcus blocked me on everything. The family WhatsApp group exploded with messages I didn't read before muting it. Then Thursday came. I transferred the $2,000 as promised. My phone rang within minutes. Mom. You actually did it, she said, voice flat. I said I would. The mortgage? Paid for this month, 5 more after that. And then? Then you figure it out. Get a roommate. Get a job. Downsize. Ask Marcus to help. Marcus isn't speaking to me. Why? I asked him to help with the mortgage. He said I created this mess by treating you like a bank. I said nothing. Jennifer really left him, she continued. Moved out yesterday. That's unfortunate. He blames you. He can blame whoever he wants. His actions have consequences. You've destroyed this family. No, Mom. I've revealed this family. What you do with that revelation is up to you. She hung up. Uncle David called an hour later. Just wanted you to know I transferred the $500 for Robert's care. Thank you. I've matched it. Linda's not handling this well. She'll adapt. Marcus is worse. He's been calling everyone, trying to borrow money. For what? Jennifer took half their savings, community property apparently. He needs to buy her out of the apartment. Maybe he can sell the BMW. David chuckled. That's what I told him. He didn't appreciate it. That weekend, I visited Dad alone. The house was quiet, Mom nowhere to be seen. The aide I'd hired, paid directly from the trust, said Mom had gone to stay with Aunt Carol. Dad was alert, watching the news. When he saw me, his face lit up. Hi. Sweet. Heart, he managed. Hi, Dad. Proud of you. I should have done it sooner. He shook his head slowly. Right. Time. Your time. We sat together quietly, watching the news. For the first time in 2 years, I wasn't calculating what this visit was costing me. The aide brought Dad lunch. Good food, properly prepared, paid for by his own trust. Mom will come around, Dad said eventually. Maybe. Marcus, too. I'm not holding my breath. You, free, now. Yeah, Dad, I'm free. He squeezed my hand with what strength he had. Good. Live your life. That night, I went home to my empty apartment and ordered Chinese food. Real Chinese food, not instant ramen. I could afford it now. I could afford a lot of things now. My phone buzzed, a text from a number I didn't recognize. Isabella, this is Cousin Linda. Just wanted to say you did the right thing. Stay strong. Maybe I hadn't destroyed the family. Maybe I just revealed who really was family all along. 1 month later, the landscape had completely shifted. I'd saved $8,000 that first month alone. My credit score, which had plummeted from maxed out cards, started climbing. I enrolled in therapy, real therapy, twice a week. Not the 5-minute crying sessions in my car between family crises. How do you feel? Dr. Martinez asked during our fourth session. Guilty, relieved, angry, free, sometimes all at once. That's normal. You're grieving the family you thought you had while celebrating the life you're reclaiming. Mom had found a part-time job at Macy's. Cousin Linda told me she'd seen her there working the cosmetics counter. She's actually good at it, Linda reported. Natural saleswoman. Marcus sold the BMW, listed it on AutoTrader for $15,000 below what he paid. Uncle David sent me the screenshot with a laughing emoji. Reality hits hard, he wrote. The family contributions to Dad's care fund totaled $1,200 monthly. With my match, that created a $2,400 monthly supplement for his care. I hired a better physical therapist, upgraded his wheelchair, got him into an experimental speech therapy program. Dad improved. Not dramatically, but noticeably. He could say short sentences now, feed himself sometimes. The new therapist said he'd been understimulated before, depression masking his potential. Your father is fighter, she told me. He just needed hope. Jennifer reached out through LinkedIn. I wanted to thank you, her message read. You opened my eyes. Marcus had $30,000 in hidden debt from gambling, I found out during the divorce proceedings. If you hadn't exposed his lies, I'd have married him. I didn't respond, but I did feel vindicated. 3 cousins had reached out privately, sharing their own stories of family financial abuse. Cousin Tommy admitted his parents had drained his college fund for a failed business venture. Maria confessed her sister had stolen her identity for credit cards. We all thought it was normal, Maria texted. Family first, no matter the cost. You showed us it doesn't have to be that way. The family WhatsApp group had split into 2 factions, Team Isabella and Team Linda. I left both. Uncle David created a new group called Robert's Care Team with just the contributors. It was peaceful, focused, productive. My apartment didn't feel empty anymore. I bought a couch, a real one, not the secondhand futon I'd been using. I hung pictures. I cooked meals. I started dating again. Nothing serious. Just coffee dates where I didn't have to explain why I couldn't afford dinner. You look different, my colleague Sarah said one morning. Lighter somehow. I'm sleeping again, I told her. Amazing what 8 hours does for your face. But really, it was more than sleep. It was the absence of dread, the freedom from constant financial panic, the peace of knowing that boundaries, even painful ones, were acts of self-love. 6 months post-confrontation, our family had found its new rhythm. Mom and I met for coffee monthly, neutral territory, 1 hour maximum. She'd adapted to her new reality with surprising resilience. The Macy's job had become full-time with benefits. She'd even earned Employee of the Month in cosmetics. I forgot I was good at things, she admitted during our third coffee. It's been so long since I worked. You were always good at things, Mom. I was so angry at you. I know. I'm still angry sometimes, but also… She paused, choosing words carefully. I'm sleeping better. The constant worry about money, it's less now. Controlled. Marcus hadn't spoken to me directly, but Dad reported he'd started attending Gamblers Anonymous. The investment property he'd bought was in foreclosure. He'd moved back home temporarily, paying Mom $500 monthly in rent. He's learning, Dad said during my Sunday visit, speaking clearer each week. Hard lessons, necessary ones. The trust fund remained stable at $400,000 after a year of medical expenses. Dad's care was excellent, consistent, reliable. No more skipped therapy sessions, no more rationing medications. My own finances had recovered remarkably. The $8,000 monthly savings went straight to rebuilding. Emergency fund first, then retirement accounts. My credit score hit 750. I started looking at condos again, this time with actual down payment money. James reached out once. I heard what happened. I'm proud of you. Thanks. How's Boston? Good, different. I'm engaged. Congratulations. Isabella. I'm sorry I left when things got hard. You were right to protect yourself. I understand that now. You protected yourself too. Finally. Finally. We didn't speak again, but the closure felt clean, complete. The family dynamics had permanently shifted. At Easter dinner, hosted by Uncle David now, the financial boundaries were respected. Everyone contributed to the meal. Mom brought dessert she'd bought with her own money. Marcus brought sodas. I brought the ham, paid for from my entertainment budget, not my survival funds. This is nice, Aunt Carol said, looking around the table. Different, but nice. Honest, Uncle David corrected. It's honest. Dad, from his wheelchair at the head of the table, raised his water glass with a steady hand. Two boundaries, he said clearly. Two boundaries, we echoed. Even Mom raised her glass, though her smile was complicated. Later, loading the dishwasher with Cousin Linda, she said quietly, You saved yourself, but you also saved them. They just don't all know it yet. Maybe they never will. Maybe that's okay. You didn't do it for their gratitude. No, I agreed, drying a plate. I did it for my future. And how's that future looking? I thought about my growing savings, my therapy progress, the guy from my hiking group who'd asked me to dinner. Sustainable, I said. Finally sustainable. Finally. The new family structure had rules now. Clear, written, respected rules. Sunday dinners happened twice monthly at rotating houses. Everyone contributed something specific, assigned in advance, no assumptions. A shared Google Doc tracked who brought what, who hosted when, who cleaned up. Democracy replaced monarchy. Mom had learned to ask, not demand. Isabella, could you help me understand this insurance form? Replaced, handle this for me. The difference mattered. Marcus and I had our first real conversation 8 months after the confrontation. He approached me at Dad's birthday gathering, hands shoved in pockets like a teenager. I've been seeing someone, he said. A therapist, I mean. That's good, Marcus. She says I have entitlement issues, narcissistic tendencies from being the golden child. What do you think? I think she's right. I watched you drowning and bought myself toys. Yes. I'm sorry. Okay. That's it? Okay? What do you want me to say? That I forgive you? I'm working on that in my own therapy. That we're good? We're not. But we're family, and I'm willing to see where that goes with boundaries. He nodded. Fair. The family WhatsApp group I now administered had rules too. No money requests, no guilt trips, no comparisons, just logistics, celebrations, and dad updates. Anyone who violated the rules got a warning. Second violation meant temporary removal. Mom tested it once, posting about needing help with car repairs. I removed the message and called her. The group isn't for that, Mom. But I need, then ask me directly, or Marcus, or save for it, but not in the group. These rules are exhausting. Chaos was exhausting. Rules are just clear. She adapted. Dad's care team functioned beautifully. Monthly reports showed where every dollar went. Contributors could see their impact: the new wheelchair, the better medications, the innovative therapy sessions. Uncle David increased his contribution to $750. 2 more cousins joined at $100 each. It feels good, Cousin Tommy said, knowing exactly where my money goes and that it's actually helping Uncle Robert. My personal boundaries held firm. I dated Ben from hiking group for 3 months before telling him the full story. He listened without judgment, then said, You chose yourself. That takes courage. Some people call it selfish. Some people are wrong. Mom met him at month 4, a carefully orchestrated coffee shop encounter. She behaved perfectly, asking about his work, his interests, never once mentioning money or my obligations. Later, she texted, He seems nice. You deserve nice. It was the closest to a blessing I'd get, and it was enough. Looking back now, a year after that credit card was declined at Whole Foods, I can see the lessons clearly. Love isn't measured in dollars sacrificed. It's not proven by destroying yourself for others' comfort. Real love includes respect for boundaries, acknowledgement of sacrifice, and reciprocal care. Documentation saved me. Every receipt, every recording, every bank statement became evidence that I wasn't crazy, wasn't selfish, wasn't imagining the exploitation. Elena told me later that my meticulous records were the best she'd ever seen. Most people don't start documenting until it's too late, she said. You gave yourself options. Legal protection isn't betrayal, it's self-care. The conditional POA, the trust structure, the formal agreements, they weren't weapons against my family. They were shields for my future. Family can adapt to boundaries, but only if you hold them firm. Every time I wavered, considered giving in, Dr. Martinez reminded me, consistency is kindness. Clear expectations help everyone. Your money is yours to allocate. Full stop. No one else gets to decide your financial priorities, regardless of their relationship to you. Not parents who raised you, not siblings who share your blood, not extended family who share your history. Guilt fades, but poverty doesn't. The guilt I felt for setting boundaries has mellowed into occasional twinges. But if I'd continued funding everyone's lives, I'd be permanently broke, unable to help anyone, including myself. The biggest lesson: sometimes the most loving thing you can do for your family is show them what healthy boundaries look like. Mom has her own bank account now, her own credit card, her own sense of accomplishment from her job. Marcus is in therapy, addressing issues that money had masked. Dad gets consistent, quality care that doesn't depend on my financial destruction. They might never thank me for it. That's okay. I didn't do it for gratitude, I did it for survival, and in surviving, I taught them all how to survive too. If my story resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear that setting financial boundaries with family isn't selfish, it's necessary. What boundaries do you wish you'd set sooner? Drop a comment below. I read every single one, and your stories help build a community of people choosing financial self-respect. If you want more stories about standing up for yourself with dignity and legal backing, hit subscribe and the notification bell. Remember, helping family is beautiful, but destroying yourself in the process helps no one. Thank you for listening to my story.